This content is not intended for children. This video also comes with a trigger warning. I will be talking about past manipulation and being lied to and some mistreatment, both physical and emotional. So this video, guys, is definitely not for children as I share the message of a certain doll. Hello lovelies and welcome back to the doll room. Now today I think I just wanted a ramble about the dolls and also one more unboxing. And the last video I did, I unboxed this beauty, my Spring Petals Barbie. And overnight I've just been thinking about the messages from this gorgeous doll. She spoke to me about healing and the ways you find to heal and the beauty that's still around you after walking through dark places. You can come out into a garden full of flowers and grow a garden, which is what I did after walking through some quite dark times. My garden I call the magic garden because the magic garden saved me, and I had to cut a chunk of the last video because it made me cry hearing the voice of this doll talk to me about finally being free as I was unboxing her. And it made me think about these dolls as bringers of messages to different parts of myself. It made me think about Monster High coming with a little diary, and I did think perhaps I need to create a tiny little sort of book or grimoire or a diary for each of these dolls and write the messages down that the dolls bring. So she really got me thinking last night about the messages of the dolls. So today I really wanted to do another unboxing, and when I was looking through the boxes that I've still got to unbox, this doll, she gave me an immediate message that I thought I would talk about as I unbox her. Now, she is the very first Barbie ever made in 2000. So when we went from the 90s to the noughties, this is the Barbie that they produced for that. Now I was in my early 30s in the noughties when we changed, and it was a massive occasion. We all thought all the computers were going to crash. We thought it might be the end of the world. It was all sorts of rumours were going on, but in it, amongst it all, Mattel made this beautiful Barbie, which of course I rushed to the shops to get. So she is the Hollywood Barbie, and you can see she comes in this amazing tight fitted long dress with a kind of underprinted shirt with images of other Barbies on. So she's quite an amazing doll. I want to unbox her today, and I want to tell you the story and the message that this doll is bringing to me, and in turn possibly to somebody watching as well. So let's start unboxing it, and I'm just going to ramble as I unbox. So in the noughties I would have been, I think, 32, not married, still no children, working as a full-time teacher, and I was living in a long-term relationship with the guy that put the Barbies in the garden shed, the guy that wouldn't let me have any space in the house that I was paying for. So you can see that my self-esteem and my self-respect wasn't high. I didn't really expect much, otherwise I would have walked away. Oh my gosh, look at her. Isn't she amazing? And at the time I was still talking to all my family. Now for the change of the millennia, for the big New Year's Eve parties that were being planned, my family had planned a party, but my then partner, who I was living with, Shed Guy we'll call him, he had friends who said there was a massive party up by them, and to come to that there was going to be a firework display, there was going to be a band, it was a huge party. So we decided, rather than be with family, we would go and to this massive huge party. Now when I bought this Barbie, I decided I loved her outfit so much I wanted something similar for this huge party we were going to go to. So you can see this Barbie's dress, it's really tight fitting. I found, and I can see it now in my mind's eye, a tight long burgundy velvet dress like this, but it had almost an identical star and firework pattern in sequins going up the front of it. It was backless with tiny little straps just like this, and instead of an undershirt I had a crochet pink little shawl thing over the top. It was really fancy. I was gonna go to town. It was a millennia party and I'd matched my outfit to this Barbie's outfit. It comes with some nail glitter, I think, for me. Oh look, you can see the rubber bands are all coming apart. I think that's supposed to be nail polish, and there are fake nails in there. Actually no, the glitter's down here. So there's glitter and a hairbrush there. I think that's pretend glitter for the Barbie, and she comes with a bag, some false nails as well. Yeah, and instructions to put the nails on. So right, let's get to twizzling as I talk. So anyway, we drove to our friend's house for this amazing, incredible party, so we'd been told, and I'd bought new makeup and false eyelashes I never wear. It was the change of the millennia and I was going to go to town. Barbie had inspired me and I was going to go for it. So on the night of the party, we were staying at our friend's house, and in the bedroom I spent a couple of hours getting dressed in this new frock and all my makeup and hair. When I walked downstairs and we were ready to leave for the party, nobody else had dressed up. My friend's wife was just wearing jeans, my partner hadn't dressed up, and I couldn't believe it, and they all started laughing. This big party wasn't a big party, it was just in their friend's house, young parents across the road. And they told me it was a big party so that I wouldn't go home to my family's party. So I trudged across a little cul-de-sac road in my fancy burgundy dress, dressed like Barbie, to have the door opened to me by somebody not even wearing shoes, in their like dressing gown and tracksuit bottoms. The big band that I'd been told was on was a karaoke machine in the corner with like a 4-year-old on it. The big firework display was a couple of fireworks for the garden for midnight, and it was complete strangers in the house, none of them dressed up, everybody in tracksuits. And the minute I walked in, everybody started laughing at how dressed up I was, including my partner. And I felt like an absolute idiot. The jokes about my outfit, although I looked lovely, and I will say I looked lovely now, the jokes about my outfit continued all night long. Everybody taking the mick, the fact that I thought it was a big party and had got dressed up for one. And to be honest, I think I spent all evening just trying not to cry. At midnight, when we finally entered the new millennia and the 1990s became the noughties, we all went out to the garden to watch the couple of fireworks that they bought be set off. And I can remember it, there was a bank up the garden and me and my partner were stood at the top of the bank, and there were people around us in the garden. As the fireworks went off and I was looking up into the air, my partner thought it would really add to the joke about everybody joking about my outfit by, with no warning, tugging the back of the dress down to completely expose my top half, which was braless because I had a backless dress on, and leave me standing there half naked whilst holding onto the dress so that everybody could get a good eyeful and a good laugh. So as all the fireworks went off and the clocks chimed midnight, I was stood there with a whole garden of strangers doubled up laughing and pointing at me, whilst my partner exposed me to the world. So much for being treated like a princess and like Barbie should be loved. Yeah, it was traumatic. I left the party completely embarrassed and walked back across the road to the friend's house that we were staying in and just went to bed. And I crawled into bed still in my frock and cried. A couple of hours later my partner came over and shouted at me for not having a sense of humour. And that was how I saw in the change of the millennia. Now, when I saw this Barbie, it brought all of that story back, because it was this Barbie that had inspired the shopping outfit. And the dress I chose was important, and my partner knew that. He knew that I'd fallen in love with this doll and really wanted something to match her, and that I'd spent a lot of effort and time. So for him to do that, it was just so horribly cruel. So cruel that I should have stood my ground and probably left at that point, because it wasn't the first disrespect like that. But it took me a couple of years on to actually decide to leave. But I think that moment in that garden was the moment where the rot set in. And lying in that bed, listening to parties going on around me at midnight on the change of the millennia, was the point that I lay there thinking, just what am I doing? So this Barbie reminds me of that story. She actually was part of that story, and there she is out of her packaging. I love the Barbies with this darker lipstick. She's got very, very pale, bright turquoise eyes as well. She has a scarf on here. The scarf is printed, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, with vintage pictures of Barbie and Ken. Under top is as well, and she's articulated at the elbows, at the knees as well. Shoes are amazing. Look at these shoes. The rubber's degraded on them that's holding them on, so let's just get that rubber off. Yeah, but the shoes are incredible. Yeah, this Barbie was part of that story of being disrespected in such a horrible way, of being made to feel unimportant, of being lied to. It was the story that set in the rot, but didn't set me yet on the path to better self-esteem and self-worth, which leads to self-respect and boundaries, and not putting up with that sort of behaviour. It would be another relationship's time before I would get to that point. But she was the first wake-up call, and her reminder to me is to make sure you choose your tribe carefully, and disrespect is a very, very clear message, and to believe that you're a star, to believe that you are worth more than that disrespect. You can walk away and still shine bright, and not to be scared of making changes. I stayed in that relationship for another few years, even though the rot set in at that moment, because I was scared of change. So believe that you are a star, you can make the change. So she doesn't come with a doll stand, so I've gone and got a spare doll stand that I ordered. I ordered a few doll stands actually off Amazon, because actually I thought none of these dolls had doll stands. Like I said, I hadn't really clocked any doll stands in boxes, simply because I've always been an inbox collector, so it's just not something I've taken on board. So you can see she's got this kind of knitted midriff sort of belt thing, which again is pertinent because at the time I was a knitwear designer, so that kind of seems apt as well. Yeah, but this dress, it brings back that rather traumatic story, which I know it is a traumatic story, but it's one that I learned from, and it's one this Barbie reminds me of. So I think expecting respect from a partner or from anybody really is your starter for 10. And to demand respect, I think you have to have self-respect for yourself, and that's difficult if you've always been told that you don't deserve any self-respect. But I think you realise that your self-respect levels are low, it is very important to check the voices in your head. What are they telling you, and where have those voices come from? I absolutely love her hair. Look, you've got these different coloured blondes in the back of her hair, which I just love. I just think she's really special. So this Barbie is a message for all of us. Develop your self-respect. Any voice that tells you that you're not worth developing self-respect isn't your voice. Check where it's coming from and walk away from people who won't offer you respect or won't honour boundaries or just treat you like an object of fun and ridicule. I think ridicule is a really wicked thing. Ridicule is such a vicious, vile thing that can do so much damage. We've come a long way, me and this Barbie, we really have. And I'm very grateful for the lesson and the messages that she's offering up today. We went through it. She's free now. She's out the box and I'm so appreciative of her. So there she is on the shelf now. Isn't she just beautiful? I've given her her little bag to hold, which actually opens, and I love the fact it's got 3 stars on, one for each of my kids, and then a whole galaxy of stars on the dress for me. Perhaps a star for each boundary I've learnt to set. So definitely a message from the Barbie today, from the very first Barbie of 2000. Messages about the fact that there are limits to joking and teasing, aren't there? It's very easy for somebody to say, but I was only joking, when they've done serious damage. There are limits to joking and teasing, beyond which it becomes really damaging and hurtful. And guess what? This Barbie is saying that we get to set the limits for ourselves. Limits and boundaries, so important. And I think she's also saying set those limits and boundaries high, because you're a star. Look at all the stars on the dress. Set them high. You're worth it. And there might be 3 little stars watching you set those limits and boundaries. It's important. I don't know about you, but the first job I had to do when setting those limits and boundaries was actually to write a list of what actually is acceptable or unacceptable to me. I literally had no idea. I was so busy soaking in other people's needs. So it's really important for me to get a list, and a list of deal breakers and what I would and wouldn't accept, and then to normalise saying no. So important. I think another message from this Barbie is to normalise saying no when people want to collapse those boundaries. I mean, at the end of the day, your boundaries will only upset the people that want to ignore them. And they're normally the people telling you, can't you take a joke, when they've just exposed you in front of a garden full of strangers. Can't you take a joke? Can't you smile? I was only joking. This Barbie says, don't smile on demand for anybody disrespecting you with ridicule. Don't smile on demand. Save that for the people who deserve it. Go find your tribe and make sure they're kind. So thank you, Barbie, for reminding me of that story. We have come a long, long way. I love that you're now free in the doll room. And thank you guys so much for watching as well. Isn't she gorgeous? I hope the message resonated as well for anybody, and anybody going through it. Set your boundaries high. You're worth it. Look, there's enough stars on this dress for me to share with anybody else who needs to know that they're a star. So much love from the doll room, guys. You are all amazing stars. Don't ever forget it. And I'll see you next time. Bye.